Now complete, the 2025 NFL Draft will go down as one of the league's more memorable ones, though it's destined to mostly be remembered for Colorado QB Shedeur Sanders' free fall to the 5th round, which made Aaron Rodgers' infamous wait 20 years before seem like a mere glitch. The Sanders saga aside, this draft also produced the drama, head-scratching decisions and OMG moments inherent to the annual player selection meeting. And speaking of any draft's endemic components, it's now time to prematurely grade its results, about 3 years before that's a remotely fair exercise. But we eat from microwaves far more routinely than slow cookers, right? One note about the report card methodology. As I grade each team, the goal is to pull back for a big picture look at its performance holistically rather than judging from a narrow perspective that doesn't include trades and other considerations that more accurately frame the decisions. With that in mind, here are your ridiculously hasty 2025 NFL Draft grades, with team classes ranked from best to worst. 1. New England Patriots A team that had to get a transfusion of offensive talent, regardless of circumstances, but especially to give QB Drake May a fighting chance in his second NFL season, wisely spent its first 4 picks on that side of the ball. First round OT Will Campbell, second round RB Tre'Veon Henderson, third round WR Kyle Williams and third round C Jared Wilson will likely not only play significant snaps as rookies, even if they're not all necessarily starters, but could all have exceptional impacts. Henderson's could be the most noticeable given his ability to thrive on every down, though the large chunks he rips off as a runner and the protection he provides on passing downs should most benefit May. NFL Draft Hub. Live NFL Draft news, live picks, grades, analysis and more. New York Giants A-. They might have gotten the draft's best player in OLB Abdul Carter, who could be a reasonable facsimile of fellow Penn Stater Micah Parsons, even if Carter doesn't understand he's not worthy of wearing GOAT OLB Lawrence Taylor's No. 56. But to get back into the first round for QB Jackson Dart, essentially at the cost of 2 third-rounders and with no reason to play him prematurely with Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston round, might be the move that truly gets this franchise back on course, while keeping HC Brian Daboll and GM Joe Schoen in their posts. All that aside, good odds that bulldozing 4th-round RB Cam Scatabo winds up as the favorite pick of Big Blue's starved fans. 3. Las Vegas Raiders A-. Number 6 overall pick Ashton Jeanty was one of this draft's few apparent blue chippers and should instantly catalyze what was the league's worst ground game in 2024. Aside from being inspirational, second-rounder Jack Betch might immediately emerge as new QB Geno Smith's top wide receiver. Third-rounders Darian Porter, a corner, and Charles Grant, an offensive tackle, could wind up as high-quality starters at mid-range draft cost. Seemingly nice debut by rookie GM John Spidek. 4. New York Jets A-. Notable that they hired a defensive-minded coach, and one of the best corners in franchise history, in Aaron Glenn, only to opt for an offensive-centric draft, and one that seemed modeled on the Lions' blueprint Glenn saw work so well as their defensive coordinator. First-round RT Armand Membo and second-round Tay Mason Taylor, son of former Jets OLB Jason Taylor, should either provide immediate help to new QB Justin Fields, or whomever replaces him in a year or two. Third-round CB Azare Thomas will be tested opposite Sauce Gardner but represents good value. Fourth-round WR Arian Smith is pure speed, which could open the field for Mason and WR Garrett Wilson. Glenn N. Rookie GM Darren Mogi nicely drove the fairway on their first tee shot. 5. Pittsburgh Steelers B+. Let's call this a progress report grade, at least until they officially have Rodgers in the building, though worth noting that HC Mike Tomlin didn't seem too worried about it during an NFL Network interview Saturday. But assuming Rodgers ultimately arrives, he should walk into a locker room that's more talented than the version that qualified for the playoffs last season. First-round DL Derek Harmon could be the next Cam Hayward, even as he plays alongside the perennial All-Pro in the short run. Fourth-round OLB Jack Sawyer should juice a pass rush that already had plenty of it beyond TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. But the real delta here could be third-round RB Caleb Johnson, perhaps a substantial upgrade from departed Najee Harris and who ought to really thrive if a heavily resourced offensive line fully gels in 2025. And getting Ohio State QB Will Howard in round 6 at least indicates something of a developmental plan for a team that's spun its wheels behind center since Ben Roethlisberger retired. 6. Dallas Cowboys B+. It might not have been exactly what the fanbase was hoping for, Ginty, but owner Jerry Jones and his front office generally do a pretty solid job this time of year. Aside from being a bully on the field, first-round G. Tyler Booker not only fills a need but could provide fresh leadership in the locker room in time. Second-round Donovan Ezeruaku and third-round C.B. Siobhan Revel Jr. were certainly worthy of being taken a round earlier than they were. Fifth-round RB Jaden Blue brings SUB 4.4 speed if not the background to suggest he can shoulder the load on the ground. Receiving depth behind WR.CeeDee Lamb still looms as a significant question. 7. Philadelphia Eagles B+. EVP GM Howie Roseman isn't satisfied unless he's made a few trades, added blockers, and reeled in a University of Georgia defender. Check and check, ex-Bulldogs LB Smail Mondon Jr. arriving in round 5. Nearer the top, it's also very Roseman to get a sublime talent such as multi-dimensional LB Jihad Campbell, who could fill multiple needs in Philly once his shoulder is sound, at the end of round 1. Same goes for second-round Andrew Mukuba. Sixth-round QB Kyle McCord could blossom into a quality backup in time. And, yes, Roseman added 3 O-linemen. 8. Green Bay Packers B+. Nice to see them break their 23-year streak of not taking a wideout in round 1, especially considering what Matthew Golden can bring to this offense in terms of game-changing speed and clutch plays. GM Brian Gutekunst stuck with the TLC theme for the offense, adding OT Anthony Belton in the second round and a nice toy in the third with plus-sized WR Savion Williams, 6'4", 220, the classic, find a way to get the ball into his hands, guy. 9. Houston Texans B+. Already set up nicely in 2026 with extra picks in rounds 2, 3 and 4 courtesy of the Laramie Tunsil trade to Washington. GM Nick Caserio did a nice job working the board this year, too. And the focus was helping QB C.J. Stroud after a slight sophomore slump largely beyond his control. Moving forward, he'll operate behind a promising blocker, second-rounder Arante Ursary, on a new-look line and will be throwing to talented former Iowa State WR's Jaden Higgins, round 2, and Jalen Noel, round 3, who round out a receiver group that was wiped out at times in 2024.